Hey guys, it's Kenneth with Vanesti Outdoors. I post a lot of my videos not only on YouTube, but I also post snippets and images on Facebook through my Facebook group, Vanesti Outdoors. And one of the questions I've been getting lately is how do I go about finding lakes on, or lakes to fish in, stuff that ain't overpopulated, overfished, that sort of thing. So for years I used uh, Google Maps, and I'm gonna record on two different devices here. One is my action camera, my location, and as you can see, there are tons of bodies of water near me. This is my home area right here. I don't care if you guys know it or see it, whatnot. But also, if you look, I don't use the satellite footage. Well, I'll use the satellite footage later, but first I don't want it. I want it the standard map that you can do. And you see where they use this green on the map. Me personally, here in Florida, I know this light green that's on the map is state land, public use land. It could be like you can find a wildlife management area that is owned by Water Management of Northwest Florida. But then you got stuff like Pine Log, which is over here, which is a state forest. You got the Choctawhatchee River State Forest. All that Greenland means is public land. That means you can fish there. You can go out there and hunt during certain times of year and all that, whenever you want. Easier, easy way to find that stuff. However, if you look at the map, you'll see other blue spots all over. These are lakes and bodies of water, of course, but you don't really know if there's any public access to them. With that, I use two different tools. One of which is one I just recently started using called FishBrain. It's an app on your phone. If you pull up the map marker on it, it starts off with satellite image. Again, I changed that to the terrain maps. I go back and I zoom out, and it actually shows me. I don't know if you can see this. I hope you can. It shows me all the boat ramps are the orange dots all over. So that's a really cool feature. But that don't necessarily mean they're public boat ramps. 9 times out of 10 it does. But there's another app that I use on my phone and on my computer, and it's the Hunt Stand app. I've used this for hunting for over 4 years, as you can see here. I joined it in 2015 July. And what this allows me to do, if I go to the mapping section, alright, mapping, there we go. The filter to do property boundaries. There it is. So you go in here and you go to property boundaries. I should have been prepared for this. So once you get to property boundaries, you can see how all these squares appear on the map once you're zoomed into a certain level. If I click these, this will tell me who owns it. So this is St. Joseph Land Development Company. If I say, let's see, let's zoom out and find a body of water. Again, let's change the base layer to terrain map. We're going to go over here. See all these lakes and stuff? What I'm going to do, close you, I'm going to zoom in. So say I want to fish 5 Mile Lake here. Because there have been several big fish being caught here. If I click this, it tells me John Pitts owns that. Pettis owns that. Cooper owns this. And it tells me the amount of acreage they own. It says who they are, all that. And I can get that information on any lake or body of water I see. So for instance, come over here, this is owned by Northwest Florida Water Management. Then I can come over here and say, okay, is there any public land anywhere near this lake? That's owned by someone, that's Northwest. So I can get to this lake, you just have to hike a bit. And there's several land or areas in this area, several lakes in my area that I can get to public land access to just by hiking a bit through the woods. That's not a problem. But for instance, say 5 Mile Pond, there was nowhere near there that was public property. As you can see, there's no green around. You can answer it right now. So I can come over here and see that it's public land here, but across the road where the lake is, it's private land. So I can't really fish on it unless I find out who the owner is. So I don't know any of these people personally. If I did, for instance, let me come back down closer to where I live at. So where I live at, here we go. There's a ton of lakes, and the large lake is Deer Point Lake. I live right near it. But there's also several ponds that you can barely make out the ridges of in here. Say I come up here and I know this guy, he lives 3 blocks from me, Richard and Tammy. There's a pond that runs between their property and the property behind them. I don't know the person behind them, but I know them. So I can get access to that lake by going to talk to them. The same can be said for other bodies of water. Like, let's see here, don't want to go up to the bay. So there's, here we go, another good example. We got Chipola River. It's got state land on one side of it. On the other side of it's a lot of private land. I do mean a lot. But if you go through and you figure out who owns what, you can contact them, either writing them a letter, find out that property, write them a letter, say, hey, my name's so-and-so. I was looking for new bodies of water to fish. I fish either YouTube or I just fish personally, and I want to respect your land. I'll clean up after myself. Either I will catch and release, or if you want to catch and cook some, this is the limit I'll put. If you don't accept that, that's fine. I was just hoping I could fish your body of water. If not, sorry to disturb you, type thing. Be polite with these landowners. That's the number one thing I give you. Be polite to landowners. But other stuff, as you can see, you can find public access to a large chunk of lakes. And sometimes it may not even be listed. But for instance, where'd that one go? Come over here to the trust. Is this it? Yeah, okay. So St. Joseph Land Development Company. What they are here is they own a lot of land all over Florida, and they turn it into housing developments, or they clear it and sell the timber off and stuff like that to companies. So like I was saying before I got the phone call, this company, St. Joe Land Development, they allow companies to come in and get the timber off the land, and they sell it to them, and they replant it, and they so on and so forth. And that's an investment piece of property for them. If I wanted to get access to this river here, I could reach out to that development company and say, hey, is it possible that I could go down one of the roads that you happen to have on your property for the loggers and go fishing on that river? A lot of times these companies will allow you, sometimes they won't, but you need to be polite and know who to ask. If you ask the wrong person, they're like, well, I don't own it. Find out who this is. Development. It's a company that owns this property. Get hold of the company owner, talk to them. That'd be the best way. Otherwise, like I said before, all this green on Google Maps is public property. I can get in there and fish all these different bodies of water. I live near a ton of water, and I fished 90% of these growing up. So I know which ones are public by now. There's some that I've still not fished to this day. Like the other day, me and my father fished Fox Pond yesterday. It was the first time we ever been to it. But we fished tons of ponds around it. Also, make sure you can get to these properties. For instance, here, let me pull up Google Maps instead of Hunt Stand. So, I fished Wolf Pond, and I did a video on that. To get to Wolf Pond, I actually have to park at Hank Road and Asphalt Road. There's a gate there blocking all vehicular traffic. So I have to walk the rest of the way. It means I can't bring a boat in there, can't bring a kayak, can't bring anything like that, because it's literally traffic through thick woods. So there's none of that. So if you're wanting to go with a kayak or anything, scout the area early. Go out there, even if you're not fishing, just go drive out there, take a look, see what you can see. Um, in fact, there's a couple of ponds out here. Marble Porter Pond, that's another one. It's a small little pond that I've seen people get kayaks to. They have four-wheel drive vehicles. I do not. So there's no way I can get a kayak back there with my little Nissan Rogue unless I drag it through the woods on the dolly, which is possible, but it's a long trek. It's like 2 mile trek. But there's also a ton of other lakes that I can hit up, and for that pond there, I may decide, yeah, I want to fish it. I'll walk to it, but I ain't gonna bring a kayak or canoe or anything like that. I'll walk the whole way like I did Wolf Pond down here, because I've heard great things about Wolf Pond. I also know it's been closed off for vehicle traffic for several years now, which means very few people go there and fish. In fact, when I got there was no evidence that people have been there for at least a year fishing. And my first 3 casts caught decent bass. So that's another lake I'll be revisiting. I'll probably be going at it from a different angle because I did find another road that gets in a little bit closer, not much, but a little bit. So yeah, look where these are on the map, find them. If you see, I suggest starting with Google Maps. Look for public land for the green spots. If you don't see anything, because the green spots on there is national parks, natural forests, uh, state parks, and state forests are all going to be green, including military bases. So that's another thing to look out for too. If it's a military base, you ain't gonna have access to it unless you go to the visitor center. Like here locally, Tyndall Air Force Base, you can go to the outdoor center and you can actually file a thing to get a permit to go fishing there. You gotta file the paperwork and stuff. So you can go there even if you're a civilian. But otherwise, look for the green areas. Once you find them, pull up your FishBrain app. Look for public boat ramps, bait and tackle shops. A lot of times, if you see a bait and tackle shop on a lake, they will allow you to fish off of their property into that lake. So that's something you got to look into too. So that's how I find all the lakes I fish in, and I will see you all later.